Welcome to our tutorial about the Constrain tool in AutoCAD. Let's begin by creating some simple geometry. I'll place a rectangle about here. Now let's go to the Parametric tab. Here's the Constrain command. Let's select my rectangle. To finish the selection, right-click and enter. And AutoCAD automatically applied one horizontal constraint and 3 perpendicular constraints. Okay, let's undo. Activate AutoConstrain again. Select my rectangle. This time, right-click and scroll down to Settings. On the AutoConstrain tab, we can choose which constraints are available, and we can modify the constraint priority as well. Let's select Perpendicular, and I'll move it down below the horizontal and vertical constraints. Let's click OK and see what happens this time. Now AutoCAD applies the vertical and horizontal constraints instead. Let's undo. Activate AutoConstrain again. Select the rectangle. Right-click and scroll to Settings. Let's turn off the horizontal, vertical, and perpendicular constraints by clicking on the green check marks. Notice that they're outlined now instead of green. This will force AutoCAD to auto-constrain this rectangle with either the parallel or equal relations. Let's click OK and see what happens. Surely enough, AutoCAD has applied parallel constraints. Let's undo. Activate the AutoConstrain command. Select the rectangle. Now right-click and scroll to Settings. This time, let's deactivate the parallel constraint. Click OK. This time, AutoCAD executes the AutoConstrain using the equal relation. Let's undo and activate the tool again. Select the rectangle. Right-click, scroll to Settings. This time, let's deactivate the equal constraint. Let's click OK and see what happens. This time, constraints weren't applied at all since no suitable constraints were available. Okay, let's create some more geometry. Let's go to the Home tab, activate the Circle command. Object Snap is on. Let's snap the center to this vertex. For the radius, we'll use the length of this line. Now let's create a triangle. Activate the Line command, snap to this point, snap quadrant again, and snap back to this point. Right-click and enter to close the tool. Let's return to the Parametric tab. Open the Constraint Settings dialog window from the Geometric panel. Just click this arrow. Let's go to the AutoConstrain tab. We'll select All and click OK. Now activate the AutoConstrain command. Window select the geometry. Right-click and enter. And our constraints are applied. AutoCAD has applied collinear constraints between these two lines and another collinear constraint between these two lines. 2 horizontal constraints, 2 vertical constraints. Let's undo. Activate the AutoConstrain command again. Window select the geometry. Right-click, scroll to Settings. Let's turn off collinear constraints and click OK to see how AutoCAD will execute our request. This time, AutoCAD uses coincident, horizontal, and vertical constraints. As you see, the AutoConstrain tool lets you constrain your work pretty quickly, but it's not bulletproof by any means. In other words, sometimes you can still move your geometry even after the AutoConstrain is executed, so it might not be fully constrained. This concludes our tutorial about the AutoConstrain tool.